What's up, everyone? It's just me and Shakes here today to recap another tough weekend in Premier League betting and Premier League watching. Shakes, you were 5 from 10, so not too bad. I was 3 from 10, so continuing my subpar streak.
Okay, which is not bad. I mean, you're doing pretty well. I'm glad that the Arsenal game wasn't as bad as I thought it would turn out to be. But
Yeah.
other than that, I'm glad some of the predictions came all right. But there were some interesting results though as well, huh?
There were, and some interesting performances too, I think. If you look at how teams played versus how you expected them to play. We were very vocal in the week about Liverpool won't lose to Everton. They can't, We all saw what happened there. I think positives to be taken for Arsenal in terms of it wasn't, I was expecting sort of 3 goals from City, but City are unbeaten across competitions now for the last however many games and just continue to prove that they are sort of the side to beat.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. I mean, you're definitely right with regards to Arsenal in terms of maybe there were slight improvements. To be fair, I will also say City was playing in first gear or second gear. I don't think they were playing at their optimum best. But I think Arsenal's still not in the same sentence as them. And I think they were also surprised in the fact that Chelsea dropped points. And then also there was that whole incident that Thomas Tuchel subbed on Callum Hudson-Odoi at halftime and he took him off. And not only even that, I'm not sure if you saw this, Oliver, but he actually threw him under the bus and said that I didn't like his body language. I didn't like the way he was performing and stuff, and he took him off.
Oh.
But he did also mention that tomorrow's a new day and starts all over, but it was just kind of crazy to see that.
Yeah, I mean, what do you make of that as from a coach? Do you think he has the right? I mean, he has the right, but do you think he should be just backing the player regardless throughout the game? Or do you think if he recognizes something that he sees as offish,
No, I mean, look, as the coach, of course, he does have the right, but it's a thing of he's coming to a new club, and I think he's under pressure to obviously get results, in order to get the top 4, and even the way he was just so animated on the sidelines as well. But when you go against a player so quickly within your Chelsea career, you sort of ask yourself, how much time does he have left per se? Because I don't think Callum Hudson-Odoi was doing too badly when he came on, but even his substitute Hakim Ziyech didn't do much either.
Yeah.
So it was kind of strange. And what I didn't like seeing was straight after the game, he went straight for it and he was like, I didn't like his body language. I didn't like this. I didn't like his movement. I don't like how he was off the ball. And I was just like, whoa, it's okay, bro. You don't have to go that detail.
Maybe just don't like him. Maybe there's a bit of a personal.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. So that's what I found strange from this weekend. But that was not my bad, though. So that was not my bad. No, was it my ugly as well. So
that was just an observation.
Yeah, no, I can. Do you want me to get started perhaps on one of the? Do we start with the bad or the good or the ugly?
Let's go usual. Let's start with the good. You can get stuck straight into it and we can bounce off good, bad, ugly.
Oh, awesome. Okay, so I would have to say my good that I saw from this weekend has to definitely be Everton. In terms of the way that they performed, this was not even luck, Oliver. This Everton deserved it based on the way that they performed. They wanted it more than Liverpool, and it seems like they're becoming a really good shout for European places, that's for sure. And they keep on going. Obviously they just need to fix their consistency, but I love how they wanted it more than Liverpool at Anfield as well. So that was really good to see. I would say that is my good.
Yeah, they played really good sort of Everton football this year in terms of the kind of football that's been characterizing their year. That they showed their best, the past Saturday, and we've kind of been questioning their consistency and how often they are able to put on that show. But I mean, everyone there that needed to be firing was firing, and it really did come off. Everton don't fall into my good, although Liverpool will come into one of the other ones later. My good was actually Marcus Rashford in the Newcastle game. Thought he had a great game against them, but his goal in particular, creating something out of nothing down the left-hand side. No goals have been scored yet. And he just, boom, nutmeg through the defense, loops the guy back, quick touch and then pulls it in on the left-hand goal side, like completely beating the goalie. It was just a like pure piece of sort of individual brilliance, you know?
That had some Ronaldo-esque type, don't you think?
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what we were all saying. I was watching the game with like 3 or 4 of my mates, and everyone was just like, "That was a Ronaldo type goal."
Runs down the wing and he cuts in and he takes a shot immediately. And I don't think the goalkeeper saw it coming, but it was great play from Marcus Rashford. I think for him, it's now time to sort of, I think he now needs to ripe now. Ripe as in like, I'm not sure where he is going, but based on the performance against Newcastle, that was a really good one.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and Man United often kind of like struggle from this is as a collective. They can't just kind of seem to get things going. So it takes, a Marcus Rashford or a moment like that to actually sort of kick them on. And then, ended up winning quite comfortably after that. But really was a bit of a turning point, I thought. But yeah, what's your bad?
Yeah, no, my bad actually came from last night. So last night I watched the Brighton versus Crystal Palace game, and Brighton have had this thing going. So they are my bad because of the way that they lost the game. And Brighton, they've had this thing going for practically the whole season where they perform really well, but they're not able to get points. And I tell you, man, Oliver, if you had watched the game, they dominated Crystal Palace. And I say dominated as in like they were throwing waves at them. Look, they went behind. Crystal Palace went 1-0 up. Then they went 1-1, and they were throwing waves after waves, but they were not able to put the chances away. And I kid you not, one chance in the second half, Crystal Palace got, they made it 2-1. And I was just like, Brighton, they're frustrating. And I would say that's my bad because it's been happening all season. For a club that plays great football the way they do, would you believe if I told you of 25 games played in the league, they've only won 5? That's bad.
Well, I mean, it started.
I think, for example, Newcastle's below them and they've won more games than them.
It started like that for them, though. I mean, I think it was the first or second game they played Chelsea. They were knocking around the ball beautifully, and the end score was 3-1 to Chelsea, and Chelsea looked awful for the whole game, But it's like Chelsea had the 3 opportunities and they scored 3 goals. Brighton had all the ball and scored 1, and I can see why it's frustrating when you've got expectation weighted on them.
Game, I don't know if you remember the United game where Bruno Fernandes scored the penalty after the full-time whistle, but United end up winning that game despite them being so poor. But that's the thing about Brighton being my bad for the week, because they've dropped points and Fulham is now 4 points behind them, and Fulham's also 3 points behind Newcastle. They're catching up to them. So the way that they dropped points against Crystal Palace last night, in terms of having to throw wave after wave and not getting the goal, is something that could get them in serious trouble as well. So that would be my bad. What's your bad, Oliver?
My bad has to come from a team that's been flying fairly under the radar at the moment, which is Spurs. Jose Mourinho has been sort of coming under criticism for like the type of football he plays, and I think especially from Spurs fans who were used to, even though it wasn't necessarily winning football, but it was at least enjoyable football under Pochettino. So the thing is, when you're playing bad football and you're winning, it's hard to criticize you. It's like, okay, we're not enjoying the way you're playing, but at least it's getting us results. But Spurs have won one of the last 5 games, and if you watch them play, and there's no notable. Harry Kane's back, Son's back, Gareth Bale should be finding fitness now, over halfway through the season. They've got a good squad. They've got a good team. But there's this sort of like non like willingness to just deviate from any kind of let's park and lob it over the top. It was just I think the better coached team actually won on the day, which is David Moyes' West Ham. But I think man for man, you look at the Spurs side, they should be winning with the quality of player that they've got, and they should be playing more attractive football with the kind of players that they've got. And I think, especially for Spurs fans, it must be incredibly frustrating to watch this guy, with so much backing behind him, so much history, come in and just apply a game plan that's not working at the club, What are your thoughts on the whole Spurs situation?
I definitely agree with that situation in terms of the players that he has, the quality that he has. I think Gareth Bale actually came on and did a couple of things that were good. I think hopefully he starts to find himself as well. But now I think the only card that Jose Mourinho still has left to play is the Carabao Cup final. And he has to sort of win it in order to say, I proved that my football can win things. But the problem is that it's against Manchester City. So it's highly unlikely he's probably going to beat Manchester City. And now also another thing is that if he doesn't win anything and doesn't finish top four, and at this current moment, I think they're 8th or 9th, the fans next season are not going to be taking this. You know, they're not going to take this at all. And he's going to have to try something different.
For sure. Then getting on to the ugly, what's your ugly?
Okay, so on to the ugly for the weekend for me. My ugly would have to definitely be, I can't believe a game is going to feature twice for me. And that game has to go to Liverpool for me against Everton. So good because Everton won and they wanted it more, but bad from a Liverpool sense because I cannot believe that's the reigning champions. You know, I know people are going to highlight, but they've got so many injuries and they've got this and they've got that, which is true, but it's the application for me. You know, I mean, other teams have had injuries too. Leicester's had some injuries too as well. You know, they've Manchester City, for example, have been practically been playing without Aguero all season and Kevin De Bruyne for the last 7 weeks without him. If you probably would have never guessed that they'd win 17 games in a row. And I just think I look at Liverpool and I think, where's the application? Where's the fight? Where's the I don't want to lose? It's just not there. The spirit is low, and I would have to say they're my ugly because they're the reigning champions that finished 99 points last season, and now teams can't wait to play them at Anfield. Never mind anywhere else. They can't wait to play them at Anfield.
And how quickly that narrative flipped, you know, just a few weeks ago they still hadn't lost yet at Anfield, and now all of a sudden it's like that's where they're losing equally as away. And yeah, it's right, like you're saying, it's the application and the attitude around the team. I think a bit of a refusal to also adapt to their situation where it's like, you know, we have 0 centre backs. We've got other notable injuries, but like we've got 0 centre backs. We can't carry on playing the type of football that we're playing in previous years because we have a full 11 essentially missing, you know. But I don't know if there's an arrogance around just like, you know, refusing to adapt. I don't like to think that Klopp's an arrogant guy, but I mean it's been a little bit different to his charismatic self this year. So yeah, I think like it's just watching guys have this attitude of you know, not an attitude of winners, as cliche as it sounds, which is really what they did have last year, and even at the start of the season, what I thought they did have when they were scrapping and kind of winning, and you know, so that's my ugly too. Not nice to watch them, kind of the body language, heads down, just getting, you know, conceding in the first 3 minutes. Like I think that's for me is, you know, Richarlison knocking one in the first 3 minutes. It was just.
I mean, Oliver, you obviously watch Liverpool. You follow them quite a lot. Henderson has gone down now with an injury, and it looks like he's going to be out for some time. I mean, where does Liverpool go from here in the league? I mean, is it a serious worry, do you think, that top four might not happen?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a potential now, for sure. Chelsea are climbing, you know. City's got their spot secured. Man United have consistent, even though I keep saying they're going to fall. Man United consistently have been getting results. So, you know, Arsenal, like you said, have been sort of like quietly making their way back up. So, I don't know. It's like none of these injuries have a very, they're all pretty serious injuries. You know, these guys aren't coming back anytime soon. When they do come back, they're also going to be regaining fitness coming into the end of the season. Yeah, it's going to be tough, and it's like you said, teams can't wait to play them, which is a weird concept because you would never have said that even for the last 2 or 3 years against Liverpool. And I think the heartbreaking thing as a Liverpool supporter is watching them go down 1-0 in the first 3 minutes and not feeling like, you know, they can pull this back 2-1.
It's going to come back.
There was like, okay, cool, that set the tone. Let's hope it's not sort of like 3-1. Let's hope, you know, and then it's 2-0, and it was just, yeah, I mean, that was never Liverpool's game. It was I think there was a good knock from Jordan Henderson that just got saved by Pickford, but other than that, there wasn't, you know, there wasn't much that Liverpool were offering. So.
I know it's funny as well, like Oliver, just one last point with regards to Liverpool is the fact that, not so long time ago, Liverpool were top of the league. And it seemed like, they were definitely a shoe-in for top two, perhaps. But now, can you believe it, Oliver? They're like 19 points behind Manchester City.
Yeah, that's it. And that gap's just, And like we've spoken about before, it's because Premier League comes down to just winning your games like week in and week out. It doesn't matter whether you're winning them 1-0 or 7-2. You win them and you get 3 points, which is what City have been doing. So yes, maybe people expected more against Arsenal than 1-0. But at the end of the day, it was another 3 points for them and it was another 0 points for Liverpool. So that's all that counts in the end.
No doubt. That's what I would say is my ugly, without a doubt as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, we had a horrible feeling sort of halfway through that game that was going to be my ugly for this week. I didn't think it was going to get much worse than that.